The interesting history of cooking. The origins of cooking cannot be exactly traced, but for sure it has evolved significantly for cooking to be possible. The discovery of fire must have happened first. The first person who discovered how to cook likely did it by accident. Maybe the raw meat happened to fall in the fire and a man found out that it was tastier and easier to chew. Since then, one can guess the rest was history. Prehistoric cooking. It was believed that primitive humans have begun to cook 2,500,000 years ago by tossing a raw piece of meat into the fire. The first method of cooking was roasting, where a fish or a bird was placed on the end of a stick and held over an open fire. Some scientists believe that the Peking man roasted meat, but there isn't a lot of evidence to support the claim. The sole cooking technique seems to have been over fire until the Polynesian people of France started to steam food wrapped in leaves over hot embers during the Paleolithic period. Pottery was introduced during the Neolithic period, and humans learned to cook in clay pots and use containers made of wood and antlers. The earliest dish was a crude face made by mixing water with cracked kernels of wild grass. When dropped on a hot stone, the paste will turn into bread, which was the Stone Age version of the Roman pulmentrum or the Italian polenta. Ancient cooking. Egyptian wall paintings that date back to 4000 BC showed that ancient Egyptians used cooking methods such as roasting, broiling, frying, and boiling. There were also biblical references to ancient method of cooking, and early carvings from Assyria and Babylonia indicate use of charcoal in cooking pans. Baking came during the invention of the oven, and the first ever oven discovered dated back 6,500 years ago during 168 BC. The first baking guild was established in Rome. The civilization of Mesopotamia brought one of the biggest developments in human history. Land irrigation and cultivation, as well as plant and animal domestication, were done by the people of Mesopotamia since 9000 BC. Crops such as grain, barley, wheat, beans, peas, lentil, leeks, turnips, onion, radishes, and garlic were being planted during 3000 BC, and the Mesopotamian diet is usually made up of such. small birds or game on the menu during the Renaissance period. People developed a taste for giblets of butchered animals. Soups and stew were staple food and were eaten both by the poor and the rich. Cakes and flan became popular for desserts. Olive oil was used in cooking. Milk and dairy products became a need, and most households could make their own cheese. In addition to spices, fruits and citrus became basic flavor agents. They also used light sauces made of aromatic plants or fruit to be mixed with bread, flour, eggs, or almonds. In 1533, Catherine de Medici arrived in France from Italy. She brought her master chefs with her who carried Italian staples like broccoli, artichokes, veal, baby peas, and pastas. When Louis XV was King of France, his second wife founded a school that granted blue ribbons for girls who won honors in cooking. The blue ribbon is a symbol of high-quality food. His steward Louis de Bechamel had the bechamel sauce named after him, and during his term, coffee was popularized in the French court because of his ambassador of the Turkish government. Modern cooking. One of the biggest changes came in the mid-17th century when the cast iron range was developed and began to replace open fireplaces. It radiated more heat and burned less fuel than typical fireplaces. The first instance of cooling was recorded in 1748 when William Cullen at the University of Glasgow tried to produce refrigeration. It was successful but did not advance past the laboratory stage. The first refrigeration machine, however, was developed in the US in 1844. Meanwhile, the tin can was invented as a tool for preserving food in the 1810s. Its development was triggered by the problem of feeding military forces in the field. Gas was first used for cooking during the 1840s, and since then, the use of gas in the kitchen has been popular. The 1700s and the 1800s brought us our fast food favorites. The sandwiches was invented by John Montagu, the 4th Earl of Sandwich in 1762. The Margarita pizza, the first relative of the pizza we know today, was invented in 1889. Meanwhile, the first hamburger and steak sandwich were sold in 1895. In 1765, the first modern version of the restaurant appeared in Paris and was opened by a soup salesman named Bollinger. That was also a year when the word restaurant was used on its current usage for the first time. Some of the most notable chefs of the period include Until the Brilliant Savarin, who published the first book of the fine arts of the gastronomy, La Psycho d'Olgout, or The Psychology of Taste. The Marie-Antoine Carême, who was the first celebrity chef, as he served the European royalties pioneered in early French haute cuisine. During the 1860s, when the first cereal and margarine were introduced, that decade, Kellogg started to manufacture toasted wet flakes and other vegetarian foods in the US. Margarine was developed using beef fat as primary ingredients. 20th century cooking. During the 20th century, science and technology became significantly advanced, so food preparation and preservation were greatly affected. Processes like refrigeration, freezing, heating, and canning had improved, making preservation of food a lot easier. The use of electricity in the homes also started in this era, and it paved the way for the development, manufacture, and use of electric kitchen appliances. The first electric range was introduced in 1914. The microwave was invented in 1947. Other kitchen gadgets like mixers, waffle iron, coffee makers, and blenders emerged during this century. Food preparation had become a lot easier, even more non-cooks, because of the development of packaged mixes. Ready-to-cook mixes for baked goods like pancakes, cookies, and cakes, instant coffee mixes, and powdered milk and chocolate, as well as easy mix sauces like gravy and curry, became very popular. The American cuisine largely evolved and developed during this era. In 1931, a perpetual best-selling cookbook entitled The Joy of Cooking by Irma Starkloff Revolver was published, which celebrity chef Julia Child considered as a fundamental resource for any American cook. It is a comprehensive compilation of classic American and European recipes which detail discussion of every aspect of food preparation and a clear explanation of culinary techniques. The history of cooking is very broad and long, and the new kitchen developments are still being made as the years go by. There is still a lot to improve and discover, but the stories of invention and developments are too wonderful to not to appreciate because they are the reason why we enjoy the food so much today. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and don't forget to hit the notification bell for more updates and more recipes. See you guys.